When people think of Australia, they usually picture the same things: dangerous animals everywhere, snakes, endless beaches, hot weather all year round, and kangaroos hopping around in the cities. And I get it. That's the version of Australia we see online, in movies or TV shows, on social media. But the truth is, some of the biggest things people believe about Australia aren't actually true. And if you've never lived there, chances are you've probably believed at least one of these yourself. So today, let's talk about some of the biggest misconceptions about Australia that people actually believe and what it's actually like to live there. The first thing that everyone usually says when you mention them that, oh, I'm going to travel to Australia or I'm going to move to Australia, they think that there are dangerous animals everywhere. If you've never been to Australia, social media can make it look like every Australian spends their day trying to avoid snakes, giant spiders, and checking the garden for something that could kill them. But that's not what everyday life looks like for most people. Vast majority of Australians live in cities and suburbs. They go to work, they sit in traffic, they do their grocery shopping, grab coffee, just like everyone else. You're not going to walk outside your house in Sydney and immediately step on a snake, or you don't have to check for the spider everywhere all the time. Can you find dangerous animals in Australia? Absolutely. Australia is home to some of the world's most venomous snakes, like the eastern brown snake. But most dangerous snakes tend to avoid people and are much more common in rural areas, bushland, farms, and other places where you actually have a chance of coming across wildlife. Yes, the spiders can be intimidating and they are venomous as well, but most of the spiders are intimidating just because of the size. Like even the huntsman is huge, and that's what most of the world sees. But most dangerous animals will try to escape before they try to attack. So yes, the dangerous animals are real, but they are not everywhere, especially not in bigger cities. And most Australians don't see them or don't see any in their lifetime, or they don't see snakes on their morning commute or finding deadly spiders in every room of their house. You do have to be aware of your surroundings, but it's not as bad as people think. The second misconception that people believe usually is that everyone lives next to the beach or have a beach lifestyle. I grew up watching a TV show called Home and Away. It was one of my favorite shows in childhood. I think I was like a 10. I don't remember when I watched it, but I was amazed by Australia. Like, wow, it seemed so unreal and something else. And every time I watched the show, I was like, wow, people just live near the beach like that? Like, that's insane. And how amazing. They spent their free time in a cute beach cafe, hang out at the beach all the time, swim, and just enjoy the weather, because that's what I remember from the show. But in reality, Australia is huge, so every city is different, every state is different, every suburb is different. People live very different lifestyles depending where they are. In Tasmania, it was a whole different vibe. In Sydney, also completely different. Gold Coast, again, different. So no, Australians don't live all the same lifestyle, the beach lifestyle, the perfect lifestyle. It depends on their goals, where they live, what job do they have, and much more. Yes, Australia is famous for its beaches and beach lifestyle because the beaches really are incredible. And yes, some people do live close by the sea and it can be amazing, but not everyone lives that life. And that doesn't mean that everyone lives 5 minutes from the ocean. Take Sydney as an example. Someone living near Bondi or Manly might be very close to the beach, but Sydney is a huge area. So you can live in a suburb where getting to beach can take easily over an hour or even more depending on the traffic. And that's if you have a car. And often Australian cities are much bigger than people really realize. What looks close on a map can actually be quite far away, and it depends if you have to take the car, if you have to take the bus, if you have to walk somewhere, and so much more. And if you live more in inland, in small town, beach is definitely not part of your everyday life. it can take hours to arrive to the beach. So just because Australia is known for having a beach lifestyle doesn't mean that everyone lives that. People also live ordinary lives, far from beach too. And that brings me to another misconception about what people believe about Australia, that Australia is hot all year round. And this one usually surprises people the most. And I do have to admit it did surprise me too. Many imagine Australia as one giant tropical country where everyone wears shorts 12 months a year. And well, some people do, but Australia's size is massive. That means there are huge climate differences depending on where you are. In tropical northern Australia, winters are very mild, but in southern parts of the country, winters can feel surprisingly cold. So cities can have very different weather and very different winter weather, cold mornings and winter temperatures that many visitors probably don't expect. I remember when I first arrived to Australia. I arrived at the end of the September and I pretty much didn't pack that many warm clothes because, it's Australia, it's warm all the time, so I might just only need one jacket, and that's what I brought, just one jacket. But I was wrong. I remember the days were actually really, really nice, sunny and warm, but the nights were still cold. So I was freezing. I'm sure I did check the weather before coming and I knew what I was getting into, but I don't know. I guess I thought it wouldn't be that cold somehow, or yeah, I'm not sure what I was thinking. But yes, I do have to say that Australian winters are much more enjoyable compared to Estonian -20, grey weather, cold, snow, and cloudy all the time. Australia is sunnier, blue skies, and sometimes you even get a nice enough weather to actually go to the beach during winter time, depending where you live, of course. And that brings me to the last point, which is that people believe that it never snows in Australia. And yes, that's also something I thought, or maybe never thought about it really, that it actually snows in Australia. Because how is it possible? It never snowed in home and away, right? But in reality, Australia does get snow. And Australia actually does have ski resorts. People picture beaches and heat because that's what gets filmed and posted and what we mostly see and hear about Australia. But nobody's really making viral content about Australian ski resorts. At least you don't see it as much. So yes, Australian ski resorts attract a lot of visitors each winter. So while Australia certainly has some extremely hot regions, it's far from hot everywhere all year round. People are often shocked to learn that some Australians use heaters, wear winter coats, and wake up to frosty mornings. But the country is simply just too big to fit into one weather stereotype. So maybe Australia isn't quite the place the internet makes it out to be, but I guess no place really is. And yes, there are incredible beaches, hot weather, unusual wildlife, and some very unique parts of life there. But like most countries, the reality is usually a lot more interesting than what is shown on social media, what you see on TV. And honestly, that's what I find so interesting about traveling and living abroad. You start with this idea of what a country is supposed to be like, how it's supposed to feel like, and then you actually go there and realize how much more there is to it. So I'd love to know what you thought Australia was like before you visited. And if you're Australian, what is the biggest misconception you hear about your country? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.